Well, I've just thought to take a video before the owner arrives, Chris. I was supposed to go down to the train station and pick him up, but I had to send my friend because I can't get out of his car, literally. Now I've spent a good 2 hours of testing with 3 different sets of drivers in the kick build. Decided to go ahead with the cheapest. We may talk about that later why. I've tuned the car now for a good hour and a half, and it's already at a point where I just texted him that now I really envy him, because the system does things that even my Honda doesn't do, and that has had a crazy amount of work in it. I know the limitations of that car, and I know that maybe one day when I start a new project, a new car, I will have all that experience going into the new one, and I will get to a point where, well, now this car is, and it's so great that, you know, I can give all that experience to a client, and hopefully he will be over the moon. Well, you will see very soon. I will try to record some parts of it when he will listen to the car. It's just, if you live in the UK, find the chance to listen to this TT. It's something else. It's so realistic. Emotions from the music just come through so well. It's bloody awesome. That's exactly why I like doing car audio. For those moments, words can't describe. I can't even talk. It's crazy. Overall, yeah, this kick build transformed the whole system now. That double bass in this track is just so real. No resonance, nothing whatsoever. You only hear the music, nothing else. The attack is so great. It's fast. Notes are instant. You know, they kick in instantly. There's no lag. There's no extra decay on the instruments. When they have to stop, they also stop. And there's a great headroom as well in the system. So it does everything. It does everything now, especially with the IB sub in the back. If you really want to play low music, it does that too. And it looks bloody cool too. I hope he will take it out a few shows, because he's one of those who keeps the car in the garage, and I must save it for the future. Well, now with this system, yeah, it's part of the history now. Well, a few minutes and he's there. I'm gonna stop the video now, and we will probably carry on with him when he listens to it too. So yeah, first I thought to show you that track that we played on one of the teasers when the boot was finished, Columbus.
Yeah, I remember. I think I put it on me Fire as well. I liked it that much.
And I listened to it earlier when you were on the train, and actually I took a video with my phone.
Yeah.
Me talking about my impression of the system.
Yeah.
You will have a laugh when you see that. Hang on. Was it the female vocals? That's the one.
There's some good tracks in that folder actually.
I'll play it from the middle.
Slight difference. understand now exactly what you were saying.
Just listen to it.
With my maps and my beautiful charts, I dream of Columbus. And there's peace in a traveling heart. Dream of Columbus.
That was super. That was awesome, mate. It's all there now, everything. It's just the right amount of everything at low volume as well.
What's crazy, I go back, I show a certain part. I know you don't listen to the track that technically.
I do know the track well though, because
Yeah.
I've been listening to it for 15 years on loads of different systems indoors as well.
There are parts when they really pull the string on the double bass.
Yeah,
And because now it's so easy to integrate the mid bass to the mids, you have absolutely no sense of where the mid bass is coming from. I mean, it integrates to the mids perfectly. It's up high.
it is. It's so full bodied. I've
As
not
bef-
heard it like that before in here.
As before, just to recap for everyone what was going on in this car. So we were talking about the mid bass at the end of the last video when the boot was finished, and we were saying that the mid bass sounded quite hollowy. There was no control on it.
Yeah, like a
sounded
speaker in a tube, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And on driver's side, we had no real response under 100 Hz, and on top of that, we had a cancellation in between 120 and 160. So on that side, that driver, where it was intended to work in that range,
just didn't want to know, did it? It
It
couldn't
was-
do anything.
it was
Yeah,
doing nothing. I mean, it was working, but you couldn't hear it because the car was against you from that
Yeah.
location.
yeah,
Now I measured it. I'm going to show it to you later. We have no dips in the range where actually we have to use the driver in.
yeah.
In between 60 and 190, there's no dip at all. There are a few peaks here and there. On driver's side, 130 is a bit peaky, and on passenger side, 110. But it's nothing crazy I couldn't deal
Yeah,
with. It's just a
yeah.
couple of dBs here and there. And then even if those boxes are so small, because they are down there, they get quite a great cabin gain.
I was thinking about that actually.
So-
yeah,
Even if they are so small, we have functional response
yeah,
pretty linear down to 70. Then at 60, its level is dropped, and under 60 it's game over.
we don't need that though.
But we don't need that
Yeah.
because we have a front
Yeah.
sub anyway.
They're
but-
doing exactly. It's you pulled it off. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't know, did we? Exactly.
That big cancellation we had in between 120 160, that moved up on driver's side up to 220ish.
Yeah,
So that's kind of out of the range and from that point on, the wide bands up on the pillar take over.
Yeah.
So
And they do a lovely job.
once you have no phase cancellation in that range, your ears don't detect
Yeah.
phase problems.
Yeah.
So it's that easy to integrate the mid bass.
There's no distractions now.
No, and zero rattle. I can play the mid bass now on its own,
Yeah.
full tilt, and you hear not a single rattle in the car.
Sweet. Plus, because they're not in a door anymore, there's less parts in that area that are gonna vibrate. If you know, if there was gonna be any, there'd be less.
There's nothing down there.
Yeah.
It's bolted to the chassis.
Yeah.
What would rattle then?
Yeah.
Nothing. It could only be better if it was welded to the chassis, but it's still good enough.
It's like you said before, location and installation. That's it. Well, you know, it's not it, but that's two of the main foundations.
I didn't know what
Yeah.
to expect, so I haven't done this in this car, but
Yeah.
you know, everyone says that kicks are the best. in
Who,
most of the
who
cars
has done
then.
anything in a TT really? You haven't even got anyone to draw anything from. Everything you've done's been pretty much like first time.
There's only one serious build you also know in Austria.
Yeah,
What's his name?
I'm not sure to be honest.
I know you,
Yeah.
and if you watch this video, sorry. Soundmasters. That's the
They've got videos
company,
on YouTube,
yeah.
haven't they, of it.
that's a beautiful build, but they have the mid bass up on the dashing enclosures and
Yeah.
front sub firing forwards towards the firewall, if I remember well, or up, something like that. That car does work well. But now, considering
So does this one, no, yeah.
we haven't moved the dash, we haven't done anything that
No,
crazy.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, this is just magic, honestly.
I was saying earlier when I was building the enclosure that if these enclosures don't work, then option B is to cut the kicks and then do
Yeah.
IB with a different set of drivers.
Yeah,
But
not necessary though.
it looks like they work. And the funny thing is, Dyno Deal looked great when I tested
Yeah.
it with the RTA. So we could have stayed with the Dyno Deals, it was
Yeah.
fine. Then I put the Ram 6As in,
Yeah,
and I thought everyone says Dyno Deal is very insensitive. So I put the Ram 6A in, and actually they were bang on the same sensitivity. The Ram 6A had better upper mid bass, better level, and less dips in between 200 and 300. But the Dyno Audio could go lower under 70 hertz.
yeah.
In between 50 and 70, the Dyne had like 4-6 dB more. I guess the Ram 6A would need a bit more enclosure space. And then I put the cheapest one in, which is in there now.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
Yeah, but, I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
It's not all about the most expensive.
the
this or that, is it?
6.25, and I've tested it before. It's the cheapest line from Audible Physics, but the whole driver was designed for kind of factory upgrade solutions where they don't have much
So did you?
amplification. It's only
Yeah.
40 watt RMS on paper,
Yeah.
but
on paper, yeah.
it's bloody sensitive.
Did you put them in just to see what they was like, or was you put them in because you seriously was considering them as an option?
I,
You
I
just
was
thought
expecting
you'd try 'em?
something good, and
Yeah.
then, you know,
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah.
Because they bring the same response as the Dyno Deal, which costs 4 or 5 times more from this small enclosure, and they are 5-6 dB more sensitive.
As much as that.
There's shitloads.
Yeah. That is a lot, isn't it? And plus Audible Physics now, the whole front end.
People could
I'm
say
happy
that
with
yeah,
that,
that's the
yeah.
only reason why I put them in, because now you have Audible Physics all the way up from the whole freeway. It's not
So
it's not the
hang on.
case.
Yeah. Suits me.
That's why Rishi was also telling me to try these drivers, because it could surprise anyone.
He weren't wrong, was he?
And actually now, if you think about it, you have a dyno deal Isotar costing nearly 4-digit with an install that you had before, and even the door build wasn't cheap.
No. They are solid, but they just...
But I mean, if you think
out,
about it, the steel work, the welding, the deadening on it, all the labour and the hours.
Yeah.
If you count that, that's probably the same amount of labour and everything as now this kick builds.
Yeah.
But now you have a fairly cheap driver at the right location, and it's a million times better than fancy, expensive drivers just banged in.
Yeah. Which is what I did start off with. I didn't just bang them in, but I went for the dyno.
You tried your best, utilising the factory location, but
they've done their job though for 4 years. It was only once the pillars went in and you'd done the rest in the boot that they became the weakest link then. But up until that point,
yeah, you also need a system which can reveal the tiniest details, and then as soon as a certain part of the range becomes better, then that also highlights the weak points. What happened here?
Yeah, the FIO was a really good move. I think I love that.
It's just not fair that now I've worked on your car. Well, how many days have I had in it? 8, 12, 20, now 5 days, 25 days all in all in the last year. 25 days work on the car, and I've done the pillars, the wide bands with the tweeters, I've done front sub, I've done the whole boot builds with the IB sub, and now the kicks.
Yeah, you've done everything
most
really,
of it. Well, I didn't have to install head unit, I didn't have to install the amp rack.
Yeah, true.
Do deadening, run cables in really. So that could be another 6-10 days. So now we can say that you can get a system like this in between 30-35 days work.
Couldn't do that in one go.
Yeah.
Well,
once,
I couldn't, but
I mean, once you know that it's possible and there's someone who can do it for you, then it's easy to trust that install, and why not?
I don't mind bringing it down.
I'm just saying that, it's not fair that in 25 days we got to this point with yours, and it does certain things better than my fucking Honda, which has had...
Yeah, but there's things about your car that this could never do. I mean, it's a balancing act, isn't it? What one car can do, another one can't. It's the same for everyone, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess.
Like you said before, you've got to play with what the car gives you, and sometimes it takes longer to find out, what the car's doing than others.
That's why I'm trying to take a video at some point where I share a few ideas about, how to test locations in a car and how to plan a system based on that. Because
testing, I've learned from you, is super important, because
you can save hell of a lot. Exactly. Now you see in the Honda, instead of, I mean, I did the hard way, but then I learnt it.
Yeah. It takes the same effort to get it wrong as it does to get it right, doesn't it?
I guess. But now this car works, and I mentioned it earlier in the video when you were coming just before that as much as you don't take this car out and show it to people, you have to find a way a few times, or people have to go to you. If someone is really into car audio and quality, even pay him a day rate, just
everyone's welcome.
Find him at the weekends when he doesn't work. Exactly. Take him a sausage roll or something. It's worth anything. Listen to this setup.
I'm really happy
bloody
with it.
wicked.
I'm loving it, and there's a few little bits and bobs to do, but all the install is done. Yeah, cosmetics.
A pillar needs trimming. flocking.
That'll
Something.
get done. That'll get done.
Few panels here and there, but
There's always more little bits and bobs to do, and you know that's part of the fun. I think, knowing that it never ends. There's always a reason to do a bit more.
so what do we do next?
I don't know. If I was forced to do something next, just for the sake of it, I'd probably have the binnacle moved just for cosmetic, you know, better balance. But it wouldn't. I can't imagine it would give me anything with the way it's sounding. I mean, how far do you know? Can I go? Everything that's in here now, I never imagined it would be. It's just I've just sort of stumbled into one part of the build, more or less sort of by accident. You know, I didn't ever plan to have these drivers on the pillars. It's just ended up that way.
I was beating you, that's why.
Well, yeah, you did. You did encourage me to do something. Yeah, definitely. You've got an infectious passion for car audio, mate. That's for sure.
I love this combo now on the pillar with the DLS.
Well, every time
It's
Rishi
bloody
brings
awesome.
out a new driver, everyone jumps on it. I want that. I want that. And I'm thinking, well, you're gonna. There's classics that is already made that people don't realise yet because they're too quick to jump onto the next one. And I've never once thought I want those like everyone else. You know, when
No,
a new
these-
driver comes out.
These NZ3s
I've loved these from the
awesome.
minute they went in. From the minute I heard them in your Honda.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll try some wide bands because they sound nice. And then you put these in, and everything, I've loved them from the minute they went in. I listen to a lot of stuff indoors. I've got quite an expensive valve amp and whatnot
Yep.
indoors. And you know what it's like. You're set right in the sweet spot. Lights out. You hear everything, and you learn certain CDs. You know them.
Yeah.
Well, I play those same CDs in the car, and these speakers are doing everything that mine are doing indoors. So, it's not like, oh, that's not right, this ain't right. They're brilliant. They really are, especially for the money. I could have spent 3 times as much. I might have got something that looked a bit.
Oh, we could have
nicer,
installed
but-
the Focal Ultima in yours, right? Only cost 20 grand.
Yeah, but would they 20 grand better though? I doubt it.
Because now these are kind of running out of stock. And
That's
on
when people will start
discount.
wanting them.
yeah, but you see, I have these on discount and it's bloody cheap. The combo of the wideband with the tweeter costs roughly around, 600 quid.
That's peanuts for
For
what
the
you're
power.
getting. It's a
People
no-brainer,
spend people spend more on just one set of drivers. Audis
Yeah.
and Audis and Thesis. I had those tweeters and they are good. They used to retail at 1100 or something like that. I don't know how much the new one is. And yeah, it looks great. It's fancy, but can they really get the best out of it?
That's the thing, isn't it?
I'm not sure. But yeah, it's also the case of the right matching between source amps and speakers. I have the same tweeters in mine and they are okay, but nothing close to this. And that's
Yeah.
why I envy you, because whether it's DLS amps,
System synergy.
we have the Helix processor, we both have the same, we have the same source, the FIO,
Same
So they are-
cables.
same cables, the only difference is the amp really. So now
Yeah.
the TA2s with the tube preamp, it looks
Try
like,
some tubes, mate. Stick some in.
yeah,
I know it's easy to say.
but there's
Yeah.
nothing really new on the market. I want to stay
Yeah.
up to date, that I
Yeah.
can also sell to people. How can you sell
Tell you what
TA2s?
you could
You
get.
can't.
You could get a tube stage driver in line,
True,
couldn't you? 12 volt jobby.
true. It might be worth a try.
I would try that. Definitely. People do it with record decks indoors.
It's true. Some guys do in the US as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, now I think we've we've got to a point with this video. I'm just looking at it. It's gonna be probably way more than half an hour, and I'm not sure
Sorry, guys.
anyone is gonna watch it all the way. Who knows?
If they're as mad as us, they will. Audio mad.
I think it was worth it. Worth to give it a go.
Yeah. It's well paid off. I'll get these door panels off over the weekend and see what's going on underneath. If I can remove what's there without causing too much damage, I will, because you're not going to see it anyway. But, you know, we'll see. But I'm
Well.
buzzing, mate. I'm wide awake. I feel like, you know, I just want to sit here all night now.
I could do that too.
I think I'll go the long way home.
Yeah, we may probably finish this video here now. I really don't know what to say. Guys, find this car. If you're not in the UK, fly to UK and listen to it. It's worth it, honestly.
I'm very, very pleased, mate. Very pleased. It's all come together nicely.
Fingers crossed.
That's the thing. I didn't plan to have this, but here we are. Whereas if sometimes I read people planning systems, they're going to get this and that. You can never tell until it's done. And, you know, here we are.
And you see now everything is complete, everything is installed. I only had a quick tune on it. Who knows where the system can progress to in time
Well,
when
the
it comes to, you
tuning's
know,
the long
tuning.
game, innit? Tuning.
yeah, not if it. I think it doesn't need that much more, because whatever I've done in an hour, it was easy. It wasn't like sorting out crazy things, because now the install
Yeah.
is backing it up, if I can say that.
Yeah. It's a good starting point, is what I can draw from what you've just said.
Yeah, if you have big problems by the install, you can't tune that out.
Yeah.
There's no way to do that. So you take the Honda back home, right?
Come back and get this after.
Guys, subscribe. Hopefully I can do more videos like this. Well, I need more people to bring their cars to me.
It's worth it. Well worth it. Come down, spend money, buy stuff.
Throw it. Honestly, the only way to figure out what can be done if you go to shows, go to meetings, listen to many different cars, listen to people, what they've gone through, and then that way you can, you know, you can find your holy grail.
Holy Grail, yeah.
Probably, you know, from the fraction of the money that otherwise you would spend, because it can be done. It can be done from less money, just, you know, with careful planning and careful kit selection. Cool. Speak soon. I end it here now.
Bye.